Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I painted this gorilla in acrylics. Now this is a grayscale painting and this is something that I like to do from time to time as it really does encourage us just to focus on the importance of contrast and values. Now when working on a painting like this we are still using all of the key fundamental techniques that are required for painting realism, but we don't have that worry about having to mix the exact colour at each layer or work with those glazes throughout the layering process to adjust the colour. Now I've got lots of videos here on YouTube that show how I like to use glazes and how that can then really simplify the painting process when working with colour, and that glazing video can be really beneficial for how to add depth, soften some of the layers and so on. So if that video is of interest I will link that in the description below. Now when I work in grayscale like this, I do still use my glazes, but they're not as frequent and they are there just to soften an existing layer, maybe just to tone down a highlight slightly. And that is something that you will see at times in this painting. Now I prefer to use smaller brushes for most of my paintings. I use larger brushes for my backgrounds. But here you can see that I'm using a combination of smaller, detailed, primarily round brushes in order to map in these lights and darks. Now when working on a texture like this where there is no hair, it's important to capture the subtleties between the lights and the darks. So you can see here that I'm starting off with a mid-tone. I'm allowing the black of the canvas, that background that I started with, to be my darker values for the time being. And then I can come back in with my black to reinforce more of those darker shades later on. Now here this is one of those examples where I'm reinforcing those shadows, but it does make the sections between the lights and the darks look a little bit harsher. Now one technique that I like to use in order to overcome that is to apply the paint with one brush, which is my red handled brush here, and then I use another brush with just a little bit of water on, it's only slightly damp, and I use that then to blend or soften the edges, and that brush is the yellower handled brush that I'm using from time to time. Now this technique works really well because it means we can soften or blend the acrylics in much more of a controlled way. Rather than trying to fight with that faster drying time with acrylics, we can work in smaller sections and focus on that blended edge for one bit at a time. This makes using acrylics much easier and far less stressful. Now I used to work with oils and I switched over to acrylics because I prefer the faster drying time. I don't like to have to wait days between my layers before I can progress with a painting. But being able to work with that faster drying time can make this medium much easier. Now I think the faster drying time is something that I'm asked more questions about with this medium, and there are many different ways that we can work around that. Now one of the easiest ways is to have a fine mist spray bottle with just a bit of water in, and we can from time to time spray a light layer of water over our painting, and that will prevent that acrylic paint from drying out. Now you can, if needed, spray a fine layer of that water every so often and you can make the acrylics stay wet for hours potentially. Now it is important to make sure that not too much water is used because it will start to run down that canvas and then you're going to end up with issues with that paint potentially getting too thin that's on your surface. So there really is a balance, but that technique can work really well for slowing down that drying time and making acrylics a bit easier to use. Now I personally didn't spray any water on my canvas for this painting to extend the drying time. Instead what I like to do is work in smaller sections, and this is another way that we can work with the medium's faster drying time. Now by only focusing on blending that one area at that time, as you can see here for this section of the nose, it makes this here far more easier to tackle. We're not having to then work on a larger area and then come back to the section we started with, by which time that paint would have dried. So this is one of the other reasons why I love working in smaller sections. Now the other reason is we can really start to simplify that process if we're only focusing on one area at a time. Now by looking at the entire reference photo and trying to block in one layer at a time, I think it can cause us to hesitate a lot more and then make that painting process more daunting. So this is my personal preference, but of course if you do like to work in whole individual layers and that works for you, then that is absolutely fine. But if you do feel like you're hesitating, looking at that reference photo and you're painting and you're lost with where you should be working next, that is an indication that the area is potentially a little bit too big. So scaling that down can really help for that as well. Now back to the layering process here, and again I'm using the same technique where I'm applying the paint and then I use my damp brush to soften the edges. This works really well when painting skin. So here I want to be focusing on getting that softness of the skin where it looks like it rolls over from the nostrils onto that slightly larger, flatter surface before it curves over again to the mouth. Now being able to capture the shaping here, it does rely on getting those edges nice and soft. So the damp brush technique works really well for that. Now something that I speak a lot about in all of my videos, both here on YouTube and my real-time step-by-step lessons, which all of the information to those is linked in the description below. But the one thing that I do focus on is the placement of the highlights and shadows and why that's so important. Now here, for example, the darker and lighter areas around the nose, if they weren't in the right place, it's going to adjust the shape of the nose, and then we're going to run into issues with the perspective and the proportions. So it is something here that's really important when aiming for realism. Now it may not seem as important, but if the highlights or shadows were positioned incorrectly, then it's going to indicate at a different structure. So it may look like there's maybe a lump under the skin, something like that, maybe a slightly longer jaw position, a larger eye socket, whatever it may be, but it will then change what that animal looks like in our painting. So it is something that I do like to focus on. Now once the face was painted, this is where I had to then get that balance right with the skin and then hinting at those finer hairs on top. Now when painting any animal where there is skin visible with those finer hairs on top, where lots of that skin is still showing through, I like to paint the skin first and then add the hair on top. Now the reason being, I like to paint what is further away or closest to the skin first and then build up from there. This would be the case with any animal that was covered in fur. I still want to paint the fur that's closest to the skin and build up those layers. Now when painting with this layering process, it's important then to make sure that the base layers are at the right stage before the details are added. If the details are started to be included too soon, when the base foundation isn't right, then those details are never going to look as realistic as they could do. So the base foundation is something that I do focus thoroughly on in every single one of my paintings. Now once I start working with painting fur, feathers, hair, whatever it may be, I like to be focusing on the importance of how that hair or fur changes direction. So you can see here that it curves over towards the top left corner on the left hand side, and then it gradually curves over towards the right hand corner. Now this is something that I really want to be making sure I've captured, because again, along with the placement of the highlights and shadows and making sure that they are accurate, the changes of the hair direction are going to help with the shape and form of the animal as well. So I like to focus on both of these aspects with each layer that I start to put in. Now when I work with my lighter layers here, I'm establishing that better contrast. Now a big tip is if you are working with your lighter shades and they don't look bright enough, that's an indication that what's underneath or next to it isn't dark enough. So here, for example, where I'm starting to put in the side of the head, and this is definitely in more of that shadow, so more of my darker values are required, having this in here and more established makes the highlights next to it appear brighter. So for example, the main highlights in the eye, I used titanium white there. I can't possibly get that any brighter. But if I wanted it to look brighter, I know then that I need to darken up around the eye. That will make those highlights appear like they are 2 or 3 shades lighter when there's no lighter paint there that can be used. So this is just how we can identify whether or not the contrast is right in our painting, and it's a really good way of establishing whether or not we need to make those highlights brighter or darken up the shadows. Because it does work the other way. For example here, where I have used just Mars Black on its own for those darker values, if I want that to appear darker but I have no other darker paint, that's the darkest that I have, then it tells me that I need to lighten up what's next to it. Now one aspect of brush technique that is important is how much pressure we should be applying. Now there's no set rule, and it's going to depend on the sort of brushstroke that we need to be creating for the texture that we're painting. But most of the time when I'm painting fur or hair, I start off with light pressure and then I increase the pressure where needed. Now when using more pressure, that's going to create a thicker line. So for the most part, for these delicate hairs here, I'm using lighter pressure. At times the brush is only just gliding over the surface. I can then soften that if I need to, but having in that brush technique first of all is going to make that painting process much easier. And definitely how much pressure is applied at each stage is something that can drastically affect what those brush strokes look like. Now the other is how much paint you've got loaded on the brush. If there's too much paint on that brush, even the lightest pressure is still going to create a thicker line. So it's really important to make sure that we've got that balance between the two just right. And as I've mentioned, this is going to vary depending on the texture that we're painting. Now, if you do have any questions regarding brush technique, anything art related, feel free to pop them in the comments below because I'm more than happy to help if I can. Again, here I'm starting off with a good base foundation, mapping in those main lights and darks. Now at this first stage here, you can see that this layer that I'm working with is barely visible. It's light enough to show up, but it's not so bright that it makes me think, oh wow, that's really obvious. If that was the feeling that I was getting with that layer that I'm working on, then that tells me that the paint I'm using is too light. I would need to, in this case, add more black to tone that down. Now, of course, if that layer is too light, we could just wait for it to dry. We could stick working with that layer, wait for it to dry, and then add a darker glaze over the top. That's another way to get to the same end, but I do prefer with grayscale paintings like this to try to mix more of the right value at the right time. But there is no right or wrong there, both options would be fine. Now at each section here that I am working on, you can see that there are some areas where more of the base layers have shown through compared to some sections where I've continued to build up more of that lighter hair. Now this is just where I want to be establishing more of the face structure. So there, that highlight on the far right side, that's indicating at the very outer section of where the jaw would be, before then the neck starts just behind it, and then the very right side of that painting is the front leg. So making sure that I have put the main highlights and shadows and not added any more highlights and shadows is something that I do like to focus on. So now I've zoomed out here, you can see that by having those two lighter sections to the right hand side of the eye, I've hinted at the very outer edge of the eye socket and then that jaw. So this is going to help to establish more of that shape and form. Now I mentioned about not adding in just random highlights and shadows, and this would be really important, and this highlights it here perfectly. If there was another highlight added there where it shouldn't be, then I'm hinting at another structure under the skin. So this is why I do like to focus on this from start to finish. Now for the base layer here, I'm starting with something that's well blended. The main areas are fairly dark, and the lighter patches on the right hand side are where there are sections of the skin on the arm showing through. So again, going back to what I've mentioned at the beginning of this video, I like to make sure that I've got the skin in first. Now there's no detail that's required for the skin because lots of this longer hair is being added on top, but I do want to make sure that I've captured a hinting of that. Now if in the reference photo, the section of skin under the hair, there was more wrinkles visible, maybe some pores in the skin, then I would make sure to paint those before I added in any of the hair. What I don't want to be doing here is getting too focused on the hair and then realise that I've missed out on the detailing on the skin, because then we have to paint that skin detail around the longer brush strokes, around that hair, and it can make the painting process far more time consuming and more stressful. So just adding in those little hairs on the side of the face also helps to get that structure on the very outer side. Really important here not to over exaggerate any highlights because it will pull focus to that lower section of the painting. Now this is where I'm using my liner or rigger brush. Now you can see here that it's a far longer bristled brush, so in order to get that paint to leave the brush more effectively, we need to have a slightly thinner mixture than what we would use for a shorter bristled brush. So when I'm using my red handled detailed brush, the paint can be a lot thicker. I still add water to my mixture there, but when working with these longer bristles, I do add far more water so that it's easier to use. If you're using a liner or a rigger brush and you're getting start and stop points between that one brush stroke, that's an indication that either the paint mixture is too thick and you need to add a little bit more water, or you don't have enough paint loaded on your brush. Most of the time though, I find that it's due to the mixture being a little bit too thick. Because when using a liner or a rigger brush, just like what I've mentioned a moment ago, we don't want to have too much paint loaded on that brush because the brush strokes will end up very thick. And then the last couple of minutes on a painting is where I sit back in my easel here and I'm just looking at anything else that needs to be adjusted. Those final little tweaks do make a big difference. So I do hope this video has been useful. If it was, I'd be very grateful if you could give it a like and a thumbs up. It makes a huge difference to my channel. I also upload a couple of videos to YouTube every week, so if you would like to get notified of that content, then don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell button. If you do have any art related questions, feel free to pop them in the comments below because I'm more than happy to help if I can. And if you would like to paint along to the real-time version of this gorilla or any of my other step-by-step lessons, then I will link all of the information to that in the description below. I'm going to be uploading another video at the end of the week, but as always, thank you so much for watching.